Hey there, everybody. How's it going? The other day, I was just on YouTube scrolling as I normally do, and I came across a video by a girl, and I'm not going to single her out or name her by any means, but I see this rhetoric done a lot, which is the rhetoric that she was spewing. She was talking about being alone and about online dating and just dating in general. And this really, really irks me because one of the things that she said was that she's not on these dating apps, so it feels as though she doesn't really meet people, right? Or she can't really meet anyone because she doesn't use these apps. And this is absolute badonky. Okay, this is not true, and I'm tired of hearing this narrative regurgitated over and over and over again. In fact, I actually looked it up, and the Pew Research Center, as I've referenced before on this channel, they do very in-depth analysis, and they ask out, put out questionnaires across the U.S., across the world, really, and do all sorts of studies. They actually put one out about dating, and in particular online dating, and this is from 2023. So granted, it is just slightly old, but I think that the results are still very much relevant. And while you can go through and look at the entire study yourself, what it points out is that only 1 in 10 couples that are in committed relationships, whether this be marriage, whether this be cohabitation, whether this be very serious boyfriend, girlfriend, slap badonkey action, meet online. So 9 out of 10, give or take a little bit, but 9 out of 10 couples do not meet online. They meet via mutual hobbies. They might meet via, mutual friends. People meet at work. People meet out in the street, just cold approaching, or someone's, accidentally hit someone else's car and then they end up exchanging numbers, right? I've even heard of these stories happening. And you can read through this study on your own. And to be fair, there is a bit of a caveat, and that's that couples who are lesbian, gay, or bisexual, they typically, what is it that I'm trying to say? They meet a lot more online than just regular straight heterosexuals such as yourself typically meet, right? So theirs was actually around 25%, and that was kind of interesting to me to find out. But even assuming that everybody, a quarter of all couples met online, which isn't true for heterosexual couples, but even just assuming this, right? That still means that 3 out of 4 couples do not meet online. They don't meet on dating apps. They don't meet on websites. They don't meet on Craigslist. They don't meet on any of these things. So I'm really sick and tired of hearing this notion that just because I'm not on a dating app doesn't mean that I can't meet people, or even friends for that matter, right? Because Bumble, and I believe Tinder, don't quote me on this, but a few of the other ones had it to where you could make everything from work connections to just friendships that you can meet on these apps, right? And while they do work, I would be willing to bet that they're still in a very small minority of actual relationships that people have. So the next time that you hear someone, saying this BS about how it's so hard to meet people without using apps or whatever it is, don't let them have it. Like, it's not true. Most couples don't meet that way. Please stop saying this. Now, one thing that is interesting, if you do read the study and you do kind of, want to go through there and see, is that it says that both men and women have difficulties, but it's for different reasons. And this should not really come as a surprise to anybody who's tried the apps or who knows people of the opposite gender on the apps, which is that men typically, feel bad because they get a lack of responses on the apps, whereas women feel bad because they get too many messages. They don't know who's good and who's not. So it kind of sucks for both sexes, I understand that. I completely get that. I can sympathize with both sides of that. But just keep in mind in general, like I said, the apps are fine. You can use them. But if you don't use them, you're going to be fine. You're going to be like the other 9 out of 10 people out there. Thanks for listening to my quick little rant. And yeah, hope you have a good day.